Here we go. Welcome to the Luminaries podcast. This is the Luminaries Eclipse channel. We are here this evening. It is May 5th. I'm sorry, May 2nd. I don't recall the number of the podcast yet. We've been discussing like a pilot, that this is the pilot, and that there's like a first episode. But anyway, this is the Luminaries Eclipse channel, and we're calling it this title says the Luminary Podcast. I don't think we've decided on the official name yet, and we have probably about 6 episodes or so. So far, long story short, we are empath energy reader researchers, and we've all just kind of met on Instagram, and me and Jamie started this podcast specifically because she's a Leo rising empath researcher, Aquarius 6th degree sun, and I'm a Aquarius moon 5 degree 5 degree Aquarius moon, but I am also a Cancer sun. So I have sort of always had like time theories on like what eclipses are, and I think a lot of people would agree that their spiritual journey is kind of started around like 2012 when everybody was talking about the end of the world. I remember that eclipse, but flash forward here, me and Jamie have very similar Aquarius energies, and Jamie's the friend in the middle. we have a guest at the bottom. You've all met Jamie before. This is Kim. Kim goes by Kimberkiss Cosmic Queen on Instagram or something.
Yeah.
And yeah, we're all YouTubers as well. So obviously, you're watching this on YouTube primarily. We're gonna all probably share each other's stuff and probably be guests on each other's channels, and this is a new thing for us. We're branching out. We're all kind of lone wolves.
Yeah. We are.
Yeah, we're all kind of independent types. But long story short, on this podcast, today is the Aquarius retrograde that we all went through. If you know anything about the recent transits and everything, last 6 months have been like really a CF situation, I would say, for anybody who's got like Aquarius, Capricorn, and Pisces in their charts. And yeah, we've been kind of researching empath friends probably for the last, what was it, like 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
So yeah.
21 was when we met.
Yeah. Oh, okay. So yeah, we all met in that weird 7 year new or a variant of 7. I obsessed with sevens because I'm born 7/7. And numerology, astro-wise, it also is a year of a 7, so I'm a 7/7/7. I'm kind of rambling, but direct.
Yeah, that's right. I was just researching stuff about 7.
Yeah. So yeah, we haven't seen each other in a while, and we're all kind of catching up on. I talked to these two last year about making a podcast, and it was Pluto Aquarius, and people were running around the streets like jerks, like last Pluto Aquarius, and they do this every Pluto Aquarius because. I'll explain later. but yeah, the man likes to hijack Aquarius and say it's all about transhumanism and weird stuff like that. But it's anyway. The the recent transit's been like really, really, really batty. And we've all been through a lot independently on our own. I think we've all kind of agreed that, like I said, from a year ago, I was bugging these guys. I was like, we got to do it. Like, we got to just make a podcast. I'm a filmmaker, and I've been like trying to make stuff my whole life, but I just am kind of social media. Like, I didn't really realize it's mostly putting in keywords and just being consistent.
Yeah.
I didn't really get that at first, but these two have been, I think, doing that off and on for a couple of years, and I think, yeah, Jamie, you started in when I met you, at least. Tarot, I think, was some of the first stuff that we were kind of talking about, and I think Kim too, mostly tarot. Since then, we've all been researching a lot of weird stuff. I've kind of gotten into astrology a lot more. I've gotten into like runes a little bit, and yeah. I mean, the point of this podcast today, I'm going to stop talking for a bit and just kind of check in with everybody else, is that period a year ago, I was just like, we got to do it. We got to start the momentum, of least, of talking about this thing where we're building a show and doing something for the age of Aquarius, because we're going through this weird, crazy shift transit between, Aquarius, Capricorn, Pisces energies like crazy. And a year ago, it became Pluto retrograde. And my horrible story is that I have a 27 Capricorn rising, and Pluto has been like tap dancing all over that for like the last 3 or 4 years, and every time it did it, it like almost murdered me. Like, I had a near-death experience basically 4 times when that happened, and it was always it was always the worst on the retrograde, coming over it and then coming back. But long story short, I had a myriad of systemic health problems every time I hit that Pluto 27 on
And this is the only time in our lifetimes that it's ever retrograded back so many times into one sign.
Yeah.
And it's about to do it again in September.
It's gonna do it a frickin' again.
Yeah.
And
this is the start of it. The retrograde. It's moving back.
I'm sure somebody loves Pluto retrograde, but it's certainly not me.
I don't know who that person is, but
in Capricorn, I'm sure somebody liked it. And I think it was like Jeff Bezos and Bill Gates love it, but I mean, the one thing I've heard through everybody that's a good astrologer, we all kind of like intuitive astrology and evolutionary astrology through like people like the Leo King and Molly McCord. We've always been like kind of this podcast is more about
Leo King's my dude.
Yeah,
they're cool.
So one of the things I think he said about all of the positive of it is it's like the highest powerful degree of Earth, and basically he's selling off his studio right now, and he bought that before everything because he was like, I'm going to be the only spiritual network. I'm going to buy a gigantic warehouse. I'm going to make an app, and I'm going to do this all before the Pluto Capricorn transits, because after that, basically, society is going to start getting rid of corporate giant things and not be revolving things around Earth stuff or humanity stuff. It'll be this like collective hive mind, false Aquarius, weird stuff that's like going on. So the people like that, but Leo King really liked Pluto Capricorn because he could build an empire. Like, he could build a giant warehouse. And now he's talking about this all the time. So this point like this is like really important to him because it's sort of like the Aquarius feels better and it's better for the underdog, but the Pluto Capricorn was better for building like a giant structure that you'll never be able to make again. So after, we'll never be able to have giant warehouses and like giant stadium events and like all the things that we had before COVID. Like that is never happening again. So he tried to use all that to make this warehouse, but this week, the whole collective, like he was so ahead of his time. He was the first person doing an app. He was the first person like doing tarot online, where like he did a reading for everyone for like a collective. The first person to film himself doing that. So like this guy's like he's an egomaniac, but he's a pioneer, and
he is a pioneer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's
I
awesome.
think he's toned it down ever since he became a dad, though.
No, I only say that because him and Rich Lopp are awesome.
Oh yeah.
But
I love Rich too.
Yeah, but they grind my gears sometimes because they both have like some like inability to be sympathetic towards cancers. Like they try to help cancers, but they do it in the like it's they just don't get it. They don't get what it is to be a Cancer, and they grill them. And Leo King wouldn't agree because his chart's close to Cancer, and he's like 12th house Cancer or whatever. But but anyway, just picking a person, and I'm really just kind of saying the person that has been talking about this whole Aquarius age shift. And long story short, Molly McCord's talking about it a lot this week. I sent it out to you guys, the links. I don't know if you get a chance to check it out, what she was saying. I think I sent it out today, or I'm always sending Molly McCord stuff.
I didn't get to listen to all of it. I got to listen to like 10 minutes of it or so.
Yeah.
That's the same for me.
Yeah, but really long story short, this is like a cycle from last year, and like it's like one of the weird energies of like you have the chance to do something again. It's like a time capsule period right now.
A time of reassessing what you should have already learned and integrated in that period.
But yeah, it's like Mars and Venus are here right now, and Jupiter and Uranus are in Taurus. But it's this feeling of like a momentary like euphoria because or just like a really nice period because Neptune is at 29 Pisces, Jupiter, I think Neptune and Jupiter, that's what it is. Neptune and Jupiter are going to be sextiling soon. So it's this like momentary, almost like you and Mars and Venus are at home. So it's like this momentary period of like, you got to remember this. This is like a euphoric period because, Uranus and Taurus is kind of like the World War II energy. And Mars is in Aries and everything. So, so anyway, long story short, I reached out to Kim 2 days ago, and I showed her the numbers, and she doesn't know really anything mentally about astrology. She's very intuitive and empathic, and always seeing synchronicities. And yeah, she's the Pisces here.
I was gonna say, of course, she's a Pisces.
She's representing Neptune and Saturn today.
Yes.
Her favorite.
Wait, and Saturn?
Saturn is in your chart. It's been there the whole time. So yeah, you're making the most difficult decisions, like, and maybe out of character too.
Are you talking about me?
Yeah, I'm talking about you. Like the Saturn in your
I thought you were talking about Saturn with Kim. I was like, oh, Kim has. I know. My chart is made of Saturn.
No, I mean in the natal, not the natal. I mean it more in the present chart of right now. Saturn is in Neptune. Yeah, and basically, that's just like Kim. You're going through it because Neptune and Pisces and Saturn and Mars was just there too. So that was like, and yeah, and then like I know you got a little bit of Aries too, and Aries and Chiron has been like right next door. with the North Node there in Chiron. It's just been getting rocked all the time. And Jamie, we've been talking about this whole transit about you have like a grand air trine, and your 5-degree Sun Aquarius. So you had like all of this super brutal transit. Is how many things do you have in Capricorn that just like
I have Venus, Neptune, Uranus, and Saturn,
yeah.
all in Capricorn.
And then and then you have Mercury and your Sun in Aquarius. So Pluto's like right behind your Sun, like it's like behind your back. Like, and now it's retro. It's like Pluto just snuck up behind you, and now he's sneaking backwards.
And yeah, and I've been in my Jupiter return.
Yeah.
Jeez.
And I was also born on well, right now it's my natal Jupiter is 26 degrees Taurus, and that's exact conjuncting Algol.
Oh, Algol.
I was born with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Sedna's going into Gemini, and I've told, I think Jamie and Kim, I think you have probably some. I think we all three have some connection to Sedna. It's going to. It's a very like. It's a very dark story.
I don't know much about that one.
I know a little bit.
Yeah.
From what you told me.
Molly, the stuff I sent you through Molly McCord was basically there's multiple versions of the story, and it's very Game of Thrones. And there's a father and a daughter, and in certain versions, they're like forced marriage, like marrying the daughter, and then the daughter, the father, for some reason, has a falling out with the daughter and tries to sacrifice her and to the ocean, and it was like for power. So they might be married too. So it's very.
Was he sacrificing her to a mermaid?
Well, this is what happens.
Siren?
This is what happens. Well, you're close. So there's just power dynamics. The story is she has somebody throwing their story on her, and her free will is being imposed upon. And at the end of it, she's even murdered and sacrificed in the ocean. And there's one version of the story where she's trying to hold on to the boat, and the father starts chopping off her fingers. And as like he's chopping her fingers off, the fingers start turning into fish, like, and sea animals, and like, whales. And so basically, like, this act created it, because it was such a twisted act, it turned her into a deity, and she became like the goddess of the ocean. And it's like
I remember this story now.
So yeah, it's a Russell story. It's like rustling around. He talks about Sedna a lot, and Molly McCord talks about it a lot. But she's been in Taurus, so it's been another like value, like greed, sort of like thing. It's just a negative story. I assume like how you got to twist it somehow with Taurus, make it weird. So, but it's now, as this transit is happening. I don't know if it was today or a couple days, but it's at 0 Gemini now. So Sedna is at 0 Gemini now. It has like I don't remember how long it is. I think it's like 4,000 year orbit or something. It's something, something crazy. Yeah. So.
Well, 0 degrees is like what, just from what I know, is like the point between the worlds, the veil between the worlds. So it's like technically you're in two worlds at once. I've
heard cosmic drugs. She said it's like a portal degree. I've heard Peace Dealer refer to it as that too. Yeah. But yeah, I think I don't know what that means exactly, but people say that it makes it kind of more extreme. It's almost like the N degree or an anaric degree. For me, if you know anything about me and my journey, I'm a zero, uh, zero Jupiter Scorpio ninth house. So I'm like, that just, to me, that means like blown up transformation and
Yeah.
like higher learning maybe. But also like
Yeah.
big death, because it's literally right next to my Libra 8th house malefic stellium. So I translate it all as like just
Also very deep too with the Scorpio.
yeah. Well, I'm clairsentient, so like, and my whole life I've had clairsentient experiences of interdimensional metaphysical things, really treading on my free will and my story. Like I had channelers telling me like I was a Christ child when I was like 12. Um, that was my aunt. So like I've always had very bizarre, dark things jumping on my narrative. And
Yeah.
there, I don't know what it means, but I'm gonna stop talking because I've been like rambling. Because I want you guys to kind of catch up and talk a little more. But I was just really excited, and I was just trying to think of like how to like launch into this whole, story of like what's been happening for 6 months, and like, the three of us and like, what we've been going through and stuff.
No, you did a good job explaining everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Well, yeah, Kim, the, you wrote down some synchronicities, didn't you? Like when I showed you
Yeah.
the chart.
Yeah. Like the numerology.
Yeah, because I don't know anything about numerology, and sometimes it does things for me, and I don't. Are you like fully instinctual on your numerological stuff, or like have you?
No. I
What?
have to like I do a lot of research, and then what I do is I go by what keeps showing up repeatedly, and I
Yeah.
make mental note of that, and then I go and research that further, and then I just kind of like bring it back into like what I perceive it to be, or what like other people might perceive that to be.
Okay. So I'm gonna.
Yeah.
You can't see this because we're having some Pluto retrograde.
I wrote it all down, like what I got though.
Cool. I'm gonna in the background pull up the numbers of the stuff that the chart I sent you, so that people can see what numbers you're seeing and comparing. Okay, here we go. Here we go.
Okay.
Woohoo! Sorry.
I only have one page, so it's
Okay.
not like
I mean,
crazy.
Jamie, you don't really like what? Have you ever messed around with numerology and syncs that much?
Well, she
Within
does.
my own life, like
Yeah, and
all the synchronicities within my own life and certain numbers, like my life path is 8, and so many I have so many things that I can actually go back and on the date of the 17th, all in the same year, like huge major life-changing events, every single one of them, um, that has put me on a certain course in my life, all happened on the date of the 17th. Like one was June 17th, September 17th, January 17th, like, and then, in numerology, that would equate to 8, which is my life
8.
path.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then when I go back and I look at my charts, you know, the transits of those exact pinpoint moments, it's like looking at, there's so many, a lot of it, there's actually, I've been doing a little bit of going back and researching like the charts of, and this is how I'm learning astrology. I think this is how everybody learns and sees the magic in it, is by going back in time and looking at exactly like the exact moment when certain things happened in life. I think it was, um, actually, it was crazy. When I looked up the date that my dad ended up passing, there was like four different planets in 8 degrees. And
Whoa.
my Saturn, which Saturn correlates to the father, is in 8 degrees Capricorn.
Whoa.
And I lost my dad when there was like, and I believe it was Saturn was at 8 degrees. I just, yeah, I think it
Wow.
was at eight.
That's
Was it?
crazy.
I don't know. I don't know about that, but there was other planets that were.
I remember
So you
talking.
said it four planets?
I'm pretty positive. I'd have to. I could actually look it up on my iPad. Um, but the fact of the matter that my Saturn is at 8 degrees, and that ties into my life path, that eight right there, and then all those other planets that, synced up to it. And then Saturn is, it's correlates to the father.
Right. That's wild.
Yeah, and you know what? I I found it interesting because I was watching something, one of on, it might have been in the Pluto Master Class, Leo King, when he was talking about where everything was lined up when he lost his dad.
Yeah,
Oh, wow.
yeah,
But I'm gonna look that up real quick just to verify it.
yeah. Me
And
and Jane,
you guys can talk.
Just
me,
what I
me,
was gonna say is like the four is usually like strength and wisdom. So strength, like representing the father, like having that strength, to support you, to watch over you, and then the wisdom of the number within the like synchronicity of itself is really interesting with the 4 8s or the four
Hmm.
planets. It's just interesting.
Yeah, let me verify that real quick.
That's cool.
so yeah. What did you see in this chart, Kim?
Well, okay. I don't know, but this is just like what I got looking at the moon. Yeah, yeah, the moon's on there, right? Yeah. So the 28 degree, 5643, seventh house. Is that what you're showing on it?
Yeah,
Just I want to make sure. Okay. So the what I do is like I'll see the numbers and then I'll add them and then I break them down to a simple number, like one number, or if it's a master number, I keep it as the master number. And so I just added the 28, which is a 10, the 56, which is an 11, and the 43, which is in a 7, and it's in the seventh house. So that's a 11177. And what I've recently learned is with that, it's like a 711 code. And the 711 code is really prominent within Francis Bacon's cipher. And Francis Bacon, people think was William Shakespeare. And so what's interesting is when I was doing research on this Sarah Winchester mystery house, and she implements a lot of numerology throughout the house. And one of the main numbers that she used, the three numbers were 7, 11, and 13. And what's interesting is she basically, her family was somehow either related to Francis Bacon or she grew up learning all about Francis Bacon. And her real name is Sarah Pardee, but she got married to William Wirt Winchester, and she basically set up her whole life to be an algorithm of numbers that she flowed with, that she wanted to see repeated through her life, which is really weird, but it's interesting. But they were like all like Masons too, and like the Masons go off of like this like really strong numerology thing. This is really weird. But anyways, he's a 711. So Francis Bacon, according to his cipher, is a 711. And Sarah Winchester is also a 711 because she admired William Shakespeare. A lot of people even say that she's like a reincarnation of him. And so what's interesting is William Shakespeare and Sarah Winchester share the same initials, just backwards. And they have the same exact numerology system tied to their name. But what's the importance of that is that she built this house based on this numerology system that's based upon higher dimensional dynamics and geometry and numerology. And she made the house based off of this mathematician who she admired named Charles Dodgson. Charles Dodgson wrote under the pseudonym of Lewis Carroll. Lewis Carroll wrote The Looking Glass and Alice in Wonderland. And Alice in Wonderland is all about perceiving a fourth dimensional reality from a third dimensional perspective. And so nothing makes sense in Wonderland. Things are smaller than they should be. Things are bigger than they should be. You drink this to make this small. You drink this to make this large. There's small doors, there's big doors. And all throughout her house, she made that a reality in her house. There's stairs that lead to nowhere. There's stairs that go to the bottom. There's stairs that go to the top. So like literally nothing makes sense. And the reason...
Keep going. What? Keep going. Sorry.
So the reason that she set that up was because she wanted to show what a fourth dimension reality would look like from a third dimensional perspective of other people physically going through her house and seeing how that worked.
Oh.
And she implemented the numerology of like 7, 11, and 13 all throughout her house as like a puzzle and a labyrinth that the Masons used for initiates to get to that 33rd degree ladder.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is that because she set her house up this way, and it's that 7, 11, 13, is that it's under the moon. And like, so I titled that reading like the Hall of Mirrors because it was all about mirrors and like weird houses and through the looking glass, which you could also say is a mirror.
Yeah.
So it's like this like never ending confusion in a sense, if you're looking at things from a third dimensional perspective, but if you're looking at it from a higher perspective, it all makes sense.
Yeah.
So you have, it's like you have to pull yourself out of the third dimensional reality.
Yeah.
And like see it almost from like just a higher vantage point, like a bird or something.
Yeah.
And look down on it from a higher vantage point, just as an observer, not in the third dimensional construct. And then it makes more sense of the situations that you're going through.
That's I've been in that house.
You've been in that?
It's in California, right?
Yeah, San Jose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I ran around in that house. Like there's a tour and you're not supposed to leave the tour, and I ran off in the house and got high.
Wow. Yeah, that would be trippy.
Yeah, it was scary getting back. Like it wasn't as terrifying feeling as I had imagined, but the foundation of the house is very, very weird. I think that's interesting that you saw that, mostly because the timing of this chart and all of the Aquarius stuff and this time, this age where you just kind of saw a thread back to Francis Bacon. Like everything I know is kind of, I don't know. I don't think I know those things as well as you do, as far as doing certain research. Me and you know a lot of different things. Like I know more about Bacon's mentor. I know more about Sir John Dee. So I know. Yeah. So like when you talk about his secret societies, like I know about Bacon's secret societies, and he's the Rosicrucians basically. But this whole age of Aquarius thing in the occult, I think there's a bunch of like well-intentioned occult guys, like like the Leo King said the other day that he's like tied to like Rosicrucianism, and he's like he said something like he's into the good Rosicrucianism. But
the good guys,
okay. But I think there are like good Rosicrucians, and that there's also a guy I really like who's the head of the Sir Francis Bacon Society, and he's always talking about John Dee and Bacon as a kid, and he's always saying that Bacon is Shakespeare, and all sorts of stuff. But long story short, I think all three of us vaguely know the story about Sir John Dee. But this whole age shift, this whole like contrived Masonic Age of Aquarius goal, end game age shift goal, the New Age stuff, like in the societies, I think there's good factions and I think there's bad factions, and I think there's like theosophists and anthroposophists, and I don't know. I land on some blurry line between anthroposophy and like the pagan. I don't know.
Right.
I don't.
think it's confusing because there's like a lot of different factions and groups of them, and there's like a lot that are working for good and a lot that took the knowledge and made it for their own,
Yeah.
for like darker purposes.
So all I know about this timeline and this time period is that John Dee and Edward Kelly were scrying, and they eventually had conversations with angels and recorded it. And if you get into science and alchemy and history and all that stuff, you can look into it. But one of the rumor mills in that story is that one of the angels / demons they were talking to in those scrying sessions.
Yeah, they went too far.
Well,
They went wild.
Like Leo King, like we like during this whole transit, me and Jamie nerded out on Astro, and we like both joined Leo King stuff and went deep into the high vibe school and learned all this stuff about Pluto in our master class.
I'm obsessed. I'm Pluto and Scorpio, so I'm just completely obsessed
me
with
too, Jamie.
astrology. Yeah.
I'm Pluto and Scorpio, yeah.
I was gonna ask you if you're Scorpio or Libra.
Yeah,
And
I'm Scorpio.
Yeah.
Leo King actually says in his Pluto Masterclass that if you are, it's the only one, but if you are Scorpio Pluto, it takes over your whole chart. It dominates your whole chart. So the other planets answer to our Pluto.
Okay.
And I just looked, it was 8 degrees Pluto in Capricorn when my dad passed away, and it was 8 degrees Scorpio Saturn that day. And then that also correlates to my family and my roots because my natal Pluto in Scorpio is in the 4th house. And then it was, the nodes were both at 8 degrees also that day. The North Node in Scorpio and the South Node in Taurus. And the moon was in Pisces.
Did you say North Node in Scorpio, South Node in Taurus?
Yes.
Okay, I got it. Sorry.
And the moon was also in 8 degrees Pisces. The day my dad passed.
That's wild.
So when Leo King, because he's adamant that everything is fated. Like when I see shit like that, that's when I'm like, God damn, like,
yeah,
you know?
There's like no denying that at all.
Yeah.
Like it's written in the stars.
Right.
But you would never know looking at it ahead of time, you know?
Right.
Well, yeah, I've been watching him since like 2014, and he's always very optimistic, very positive, tells you like the best route to do it. He's got a Pluto Scorpio too.
Also, can I say one more thing?
Yeah.
If you move ahead to 1 a.m., Venus in Scorpio moves into 8 degrees.
Wow.
That's crazy.
So that's gonna hold meaning for you. I mean, obviously, but like even more so with the numerology. So, well, like if Yeah.
The fact that it's correlating indefinitely with the Pluto and the Scorpio, because it's just reverse, because my natal Saturn is in Capricorn. It was Pluto in Capricorn. My natal Pluto is in Scorpio, but it was Saturn. It was flipped, reverse.
That's
It,
so it's
and
switched.
it was, and both at 8 degrees, like my natal, because my natal Pluto's at 15 degrees, but
Wow.
So yeah, this is why I wanted an Aquarius and a Pisces on, because I think they know the language of metaphysics. I think Pisces is very clairsentient and can. I've never met a non-intelligent Pisces, which always has confused me because they're like an emotional sign, and I've never understood. Like I've never know. Like I was like, yeah, they always get good grades. Like I can't. and and Aquarius too. I think that Aquarius. I have an Aquarius moon, but I didn't know I was an Aquarius until recently. Um, but Aquarius just like download whole mental like libraries of information, and it comes out. Like I met one of my first Aquariuses that I got close with. She randomly just started quoting Marcus Aurelius, and like I said, you know, you're quoting Marcus Aurelius, right? She's like, no, what?
What? That's crazy.
I mean, yeah, that could be like subconsciously whatever, but or I picked it up somewhere, but no, she had no idea. Um,
That's
so
crazy.
yeah, and when I get info, it's kind of it's similar to Jamie, because me and Jamie will start like I call it onking, or like creating a super electromagnetic like double Aquarius or whatever.
it's like we keep like pinging off of each other. Like
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'll say something, and then it's like something comes in, and then you'll say something, and then I'm like, oh yeah, this.
yeah.
Yeah.
It would
Well,
be
me and Kim have always had that too. We've
Yeah.
always had that since like day one.
Yeah. Yeah. That's what I told Drew. I said,
Yeah.
because like when we sit and we channel, it's like she finds something, then I find something, then she finds something, then I find something. It's like, yeah,
It
same
was
thing.
crazy that one time, what, because I had that what the Madam or the how do I,
Blavatsky, the unveiling
that
of Isis.
that was crazy. Don't you have a
Yeah.
recording of us doing that?
Yeah. Yeah. I saved it. It's somewhere in my phone.
Did you ever show
Yeah.
Drew that?
I think I did. I'm pretty sure it because we were asking about Hitler or something and like his motives.
We were talking about the whole Aryan thing, and then
The
like I'm like
Aryans.
the Aryan race he was obsessed about,
Yeah, we
you
couldn't
know.
figure out why.
And then I was like, oh, I'm just gonna randomly like pick up this book.
The
What is it?
Aquarius picks up a book and turns right to the right page.
Yeah. I kept going, flipping through pages and finding information about what we were talking about.
Yeah, like literally
I
answering the question verbatim. Like
it,
she's just like, oh, I flipped to this page and I found this. I'm like, Jamie, I just answered the question.
it was
I'm like,
Isis
how do you
Unveiled,
know?
I think. It's the Isis Unveiled book by
Yeah, Isis
Blavatsky.
Unveiled. Yeah,
you know how
Yeah.
the
big?
big one.
Yeah, they're all
It's
big.
like it's huge.
All
She's
of
just
them.
like, oh, she just
All,
opens it and it's like the perfect page.
I
I'm
mean,
like,
dude,
I
Jamie.
just like would randomly put my finger and then I'd find the right sentence. It was so
Yeah, she
crazy.
put her out of all that. Like, you know how small the print is in that book? And
well,
she just goes like this and she just goes like that. And it's literally the answer to the question we had just asked.
there's like at least 2,000 pages in every single one of her books, and there's like 800 like words a page. And I've been in blackjack school, so I'm learning. I'm learning statistics. I'm learning odds. I'm
Well,
learning.
and this is
Yeah.
why it's really important to right now to call in like your tribe, like your
Yeah.
because I feel like magic doesn't happen when you're alone. It only happens when we're together.
It's awful when you're like alone or going through like separation phases or transformation. It's like the
Like,
loneliest lonely, and then it's like I need my friends, and then it's
yep.
like you come back together and it's like your world is just whole again.
Well, that's
we're not going to survive alone in
No,
this Aquarius and Pluto transition.
hell no.
I feel like that whole like previous transit was all about like making everybody hate humanity and people so much, like before the age of humanity. This is supposed to be the age of humanity.
Right.
Just a wrap that I said about John Dee. Supposedly he talked to an angel named Medina, and I think this is the one that gave him the directions on how to build a calculator. And he basically, the thing started telling them that they need to find silica, and started saying how they can recreate the human brain. And basically
Creepy.
yeah, so
Creepy.
basically so really like John Dee made the map for computers that like Bill Gates and all these other people just stole. But it was through scrying supposedly. So like this, well, like just think how ridiculous that is. It's like, oh, we based our entire society off this like guy like 600 years ago that played with a Ouija board.
Right. And still like fucked up his life, but
Yeah,
we trust him to not fuck up ours.
but like when me and you talked like
I agree with you on that.
Sorry.
like
Sorry.
well,
Yeah. I didn't mean to swear, but it happens.
it's true, it's truth, but like I had Commander Ashtar when I was 12 years old,
Yeah.
telling me I was gonna be 9 feet tall in like 3 years and have pointy ears. And like I'm like 75% else of what they said was true. Like they told me about the underworld government before it happened.
Yeah,
Like she said
they'll
this.
tell you truth mixed with lies.
Yeah. So like, but that's my entire point, was like Sir John Dee, this genius, just ruined his whole life just because he got caught up with a
Because
forger.
he took it too far. You can't
Yeah,
do that.
he just started hanging out with a forger named Edward Kelly, who dragged him in the mud, and then they did a role reversal where they got enmeshed, and like Kelly stole all of John Dee's genius, and he started like making gold in he started forging gold in that Eastern European town, Prague. So he basically just parasited off of him so much that he like stole all of his skills and all of his abilities, and then like learned how to make gold, and basically ended up getting his wife pregnant because they did a magic ritual where they swapped wives. But anyway, yeah, just
that was weird.
It'll just don't take it that far.
Well, it's like you think people would have the common sense to like know where to draw the line.
Well, that's the problem, and everything is coming back. Like it's like the wheel is coming back around, and like the way I see it, because this is the way I feel it, is that like we are going through like a period of time where our hearts are being weighed, and when they feel extremely heavy, it is it is all of like the denial of the things that once may have like remained like invisible to our own consciousness of our own darkness within ourselves. Like it's literally like being rised up like to the surface so that way we can
Yeah.
like this card has like the two whales, like
Yeah.
And the whales are supposed to be like record keepers, like they're supposed to, they're almost like the trees like hold the memory, like so do like dolphins.
Time capsules.
And yeah. What was that?
I looked at your hand when you did that, and I saw a bunch of hearts float up in the air.
Yeah, I saw that too.
Oh wow.
I thought it was just like something. I don't know what happened to me. I like just thought it was
That was
normal.
trippy.
I was just like, oh yeah, that's normal. Jamie does that.
Yeah, well, it's an Aquarius.
I was just watching like completely normal.
The hearts are being weighed.
It's not doing it when I do it.
Wait, there we go.
Yeah.
I've got the
Jamie's magic.
You just
Good job.
I can't.
Isn't
Apparently,
that like the Mason symbol?
I guess
put
it's just me.
it on your heart, Kim. You try it on your heart. I can't do it because if you get, I don't know what the heck that was. I don't know. We're using a side app.
And I'm just sitting here like, oh yeah, you know, like totally like fine. And Drew's like, wait a second.
It's just confirmation that my message is coming through very, very clearly, and it's about the heart being weighed.
Yeah.
Play it up.
Well, we're talking about John D and like the darkness when literally like nobody is going to be given any kind of upgrade or magic. People can talk about the sun giving you upgrades and stuff, but you literally have to be able to withhold that like cellular, I'm saying it right, cellular memory and access it if you first you have to route out the darkness within because we've all got it. Like that's why we're here.
Yep.
That's why we're here. We're here to do the shadow work and integrate this shit. This is the time. Pluto in Aquarius is the perfect time because Pluto, so Pluto, the ruler is Scorpio and then Aquarius, so that squares each other. And the most challenging thing are aspects in astrology is the squares, but they're the hardest, but they're the most amazing for progress when you get through them. Am I doing the heart?
Yes.
It's still doing it.
So awesome. It was like the biggest one yet. And you were like so like channeling and it was just like everything. Jamie's the middle transmuter here.
I wasn't even looking at the screen.
I know, and I wasn't trying to laugh because I didn't want to interrupt you because you had it all coming out. And then Drew saw me laughing. Yeah.
This is perfect, like Aquarius moment.
Yeah. It's like we just need like a highlight reel on Jamie for these special downloads. This is so funny because you knew right away. That was awesome. It's true though.
I know.
What you said is true. Because that's literally like what's happened to me like the last 2 days. So
yeah.
So we're like about the last 2 days. I'm gonna interrupt and I'm gonna really quickly say the astrology. On the chart here at least. I'm gonna start with this.
I'm listening. I'll be right back. 2 seconds.
Yeah, no problem.
But I'm listening.
Yeah, I'm looking at just the tables of today, and I put the solar houses in too. So the transit, the sun's ninth house, but it's also solar. It's in the first house, so it's hitting higher learning and and expansion and adventure and Jupiterian things. And this is pretty adventurous, I'd say today. It's been an adventurous day for me, but it's also it's hitting the identity. The moon that she was talking about, it's an Aquarius moon 28. It's a master. Did I even notice that, dude? Did you see that?
28 degrees Aquarius.
It's Aquarius retrograde at a master degree. A master Aquarius moon degree in the 7th house of justice, but in the solar, it's the career. So I've been like all day, I've been having identity issues. I've been, I'm in between jobs because I've been injured, and like I'm being forced to like switch my careers and stuff. And like I used to work in stagehands and entertainment stuff and seasonally, and now it's picking up. So it's finally picking up. So I'm going back to stagehands, but like I might be still involved with the casino. But anyway, that moon is in the solar. It's a career moon, at yeah, and it's Aquarius moon, which is ridiculous. But yeah, Mercury's at Aries. We're we're direct. We're in the ninth house. Mercury, Sagittarius, but the solar is the 12th house. So like our brain, and it's that it's expansion and soul stuff. But I just a lot of these charts for the last 3 months, like in the solar, everything is like 12th house for some reason. It just keeps being like an intense soul 12th house thing. So yeah, Venus is Taurus. Yeah, so Venus is at home in Taurus, but with ninth house there, and Jupiter's there too. But it's also solar first. Mars is eighth house, Scorpio house, like transit today. So yeah, Mars just is 1 degree Aries, and basically, like I said, with this faux age of Aquarius thing. Just for example, at all the universities all around the country, I posted it on Instagram. There's cute kitty cat artwork and bunnies like being warped in CG, like to promote like pro-Palestinian stuff. And it's run all through this guy named George Soros in the Sunshine Movement, who's an Ashkenazi Jew, atheist war criminal. So this guy is making pro-Palestinian, like kind of Hitler Youth organized style, like domestic terror. It's modeling itself after like the 60s rebellions where they like try to take over universities and stuff. Like they're just reliving and rehashing that, but they basically have like made all the students into like kind of like crazy opinionated, like kind of Hitler Youthy people, and then like
Yay.
then pro Palestine, then political like right wing Zionist like Jews. And when I say that, like, okay, long story short, vote for Shiva. It's all a distraction. Anybody involved in both of these sides is a Nazi. Like, if you're going up there as just a Jew and you're representing your religion, and you're just trying to take people out, you're a Nazi. If you're pro-Palestinian and you like want all Jews dead, you're a Nazi. Like you're both Nazis on both sides. And I'm saying that in a like just vague, brief, like you're the bad guy, you're the tyrant, like you're an asshole. But I'm actually saying it like from John Dee in the secret societies from the beginning of like the known modern time that we know of till now. Like Israel through the Vatican is like a self-fulfilling like holy war, organized holy war through ancient past, like Egypt bloodline groups that took over the Vatican and worked with the Nazis. And all these are just false groups fighting and infighting each other. So like, sorry to get all serious and political there for a second, but here's the secret, kids. There are no bad guys. The structure is just a pyramid, and at the top, it's people of your own race, and they're killing and organizing you with other people in other pyramids, and those pyramids all interconnect into another giant pyramid. So it's all rigged. So don't go to campuses and all that other stuff. But anyway, didn't try to pick a side or get so detailed there, but just stay home. Don't do this stuff. Mars in Aries is direct, and Pluto is pulling backwards into Capricorn now, and eventually the bad downside about Pluto in Capricorn is corporate CEO liars that have contrived all this stuff and are killing everybody over transhumanism. Which we're all fighting over a Ouija board, guys. Like, we're all fighting over a board from 600 years ago. Like, that's all this is. Like, and I hate to
wild.
I mean, it all ties back to that. like literally all of it. So, from what I understand. But anyway, back to the astro. So this is sketchy, like stuff like long wave cycles all coming to a head. But like I said, Mars and Venus is at home. Jupiter is in Taurus. It feels great right now. Like, now is the time to time capsule and remember, like, who your Aquarian buddies and friends are. Be able to see the problems, not pick a holy war side that they've been doing for like 2,000 years. like just and basically we just have this is just the craziest astros that ever astroed, and today is basically the day where it starts slipping back into hellscape. So, but it feels great, and you're not going to notice that you're not going to notice it slipping back into hellscape until like September at the election, and then we're gonna fall into Capricorn and be like, and it's gonna get rough. So anyway, my point is, the whole point of the podcast was to everybody just remember this time, find your crew, not the George Soros Hitler Youth pamphlet crew. Just find your own crew. Sorry to be so political, ladies. I got a little ranty there, but
no, everybody has something different to contribute.
Yeah.
Okay, so Cam, Neptune is at 28 degrees at 8th house, and it's also in the soul. Your Neptune, or your the media is ruled by Neptune. You're in the 11th house, or it's the 11th house hitting right now. As far as today, so yeah, Pluto is in Aquarius, in the 6th house, now going retrograde, but it's also in the solar house. It's in the 10th, so it's in the house of careers. So it's I didn't think about that when I was saying that today with you guys. Like, we're getting hit in the house of health, and I mean, all week we've all been talking about mental health, and how crazy and deep.
That's where most of my work has been, like, since October.
Well, and Pluto, like Leo King, I think just said, it's the most mental house in the most emotional, like, transformational house. So it's like we're mentally having clarity on our traumas, which is something that never fucking happened in Capricorn. Like, that's how they get away with lying, because our traumas are so subconscious that they can just do their lesser magic weird shit on everybody, because we're just easily puppeted emotions. But once we get into like this Pluto Aquarius, we can fucking see the patterns of our own, like, psyche.
Yeah, we can face our own shadows.
Yeah, that's why I was so, like, crazy adamant about me talking to you two today, because it was just like, we've been going through this shit, and it's like we're so smart, and like we have these aqua, like, 9th dimensional Piscean powers that I really want to take full advantage of that stuff in this time, and just remember and, like, make a game plan. I've been joking with Kim about, like, how she's Yoda and I'm like Mace Windu, and we need to like make a, like, strategy to, like, fight the Sith for like 2 years or whatever, because it's just gonna be poopy pants people with their story just pooping all over your world, and they're just not going to take any responsibility and everybody's got to beat them with love. Like, we got to love everybody out of this situation.
Well, this is what I was getting yesterday, but I didn't say it. I must have got distracted, but it just brought it up when you mentioned the whole Yoda and Star Wars type thing was the message I was getting. I don't remember what we were saying to each other. Oh, because I was like, let's just move. And you're like, yeah, you're like, what'd you say? Mars just went into Aries or something, 1 degrees Aries. Well, anyways, I was like it's like a movement in consciousness. Like I literally like the thought came to me like the force within me is growing stronger than that resistance that's been so fucking strong. Like we've been battling these resistances within
Yeah.
ourselves,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's
We
it's
have.
it's like that thing I just said. I think Pluto and Aquarius and Capricorn at the end here is like so key with this age shift, because I just feel like the age of Pisces, like when rustling around always talks, he always does this link between Capricorn and Pisces, and it's almost like Saturn or Cronus is involved in like enslaving Pisces in the age, because it's just the age shift and paradigm shift is changing into the fact that like Saturn structures made a Vatican that figured out how to do like lesser magic from Egypt and cast spells on everybody's subconscious and hooking them. And they, kind of created this like human trafficking, like secret currency underneath like everything that's like going on in the world. And now it's like it's revelations of that stuff mostly. Like that stuff's kind
Yeah.
of, because it's like, you have your market out in the air of like what all the slaves, buy and sell. But the elite weirdos that have their gangs that they blackmail each other with weird stuff for for power.
Yeah.
To put it basic,
Sure.
like
Yeah.
those guys have their own like secret currency and religion underneath all of it. And like from everything I read about the Egyptian priest class, the way the structure worked in Egypt was the guards had a religion. They worshiped the sun. Like the lower class all worshiped the sun, but the upper class had like a secret religion, or they all worshiped Sirius. So like the star in Egypt, they had like a 5-pointed star that we actually put on our flag. And the stars all over the American flag are Egyptian stars that are in the pyramids. And
Look at the back of the dollar bill.
and I mean the obelisk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, if you
Yeah.
look, if looking up the John D stuff and Bacon stuff, I found out like the DC, the entire layout revolves around Pluto and Sirius, and like all the astro that's happening now, and like going crazy. I don't fully understand the Sirius thing, why they're so into Sirius, but it probably has to do with Isis, who is the dog star queen. She's from Sirius, and so is Anubis, and I think I don't remember with the Egyptian pantheon if they're all from Sirius or they're different stars. Um, but yeah, I thought Osiris was from Orion or something. But yeah. Anyway,
That's so interesting. So Isis is the dog from the dog star.
yeah.
Okay.
It's something I'm still like figuring out.
There was a huge war between sorry to throw this in here, but I just thought of it. There's a war between the Canes and the Vamps. So like the wolves and the vampires. And that's what the war I've heard of that what's her name? Forest Fairy Oracle on TikTok. She talks about how if you look up the Twilight War, like what the books the Twilight are about is like the dogs versus the vampires. So it's interesting. I don't know what it all means.
As far as what I understand about that mythology that I've looked into, like I think vampires are Egyptian, Transylvanian, like bloodlines. I think vampires are specters, or like they're like Sauron. They like traded in their
Sauron.
to get superpowers of like a spirit, and and werewolves are like lichens, and they probably come from Mount Lycia, and they're kind of tied to Odin, and,
Okay.
and to Odin and berserkers. um, but yeah, I've been looking in a lot into the connection between. This is like what my aqua download. Like I'm kind of making the connection that like Anubis and Odin, and Mercury are kind of all the same god. Like there's Thoth, who is also like the Gemini version of Mercury, which is like also Odin. So I'm sorry, Loki. So like Loki would be Gemini, like
Yeah,
uh,
trickster.
uh, Virgo. Well, it all depends on your perspective of the Norse story, because uh,
Yeah, some say that he was bad too. Odin was bad.
well, Odin created the whole story, but like one version of the story, like Russell, the guy rustling around we were into, he talks about how Odin had an androgynous parent and like brothers and sisters, and they killed their parent to survive. So like in that, their freedom broke a already standing natural order, and after that it just spiraled out of control. And like the whole story with Odin and Loki is not fair at all. He kills his parent and then adopts him, and then forces all these false universal rules that he's inventing. And like the entire story, Loki's like the equalizer, and he's just saying, you guys are narcissists, hypocrites. You're making up this story that no one else can break the rules, but you break the fucking rules all the time. So like Loki's just kind of the enforcer of the gods, a giant that just basically takes the giant's version and interpretation of the natural law and just is constantly putting it back on Odin until Ragnarok. So like even all the stories of like making the um Fenris wolf and the Ouroboros snake, um, every one of and Hell, every one of Loki's secret children that he had, like Odin wanted to kill and murder them. Like, and he still pretends like he's Loki's dad and like loves him. So it's like all at the end of this story is really just Loki just holding a mirror up to Odin and just being like, you're breaking every fucking rule that you're enforcing. Like, and so it's interesting. That's why I love it.
That is interesting.
Well,
There's
and
the
then
mirror
what else
again.
is
There's the looking glass again.
What'd you say?
Mirror. The mirror
also,
again.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like Odin, in a way, is a god for men, and like kind of keeping it all together for men and his family and his own and his whole shit. And he's doing all sorts of crazy things. Like, I'm gonna gouge my eye out for wisdom, and then he's like, and then his second like shapeshifter weird thing is like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself. He's not gonna sacrifice something he loves or anything. Like, he's like, I'm gonna sacrifice myself to myself. So like that's either the most humble like Piscean Saggy thing, or that's the most like narcissistic.
Right?
Yeah. So he's just it's just who's telling the story. Like, but
Yeah.
I love that dynamic, because like you know, even you know Sethicus, and like he from vaguely from what you've told me, like uh likes Odin and like doesn't like Thoth.
no, because Thoth, if you use the etymology, I'm just saying, like, if you use the etymology, Thoth, Thoth, thought, the trickster, the tricking of the mind, the shadow speaking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I don't I don't know anything. All I know is that I have a North Node Sirius. And when I did DMT one time, two times, the only 2 times I ever did it, Thoth showed up the first time. He told me a truth, and then he told me a couple of lies.
Yeah, that's what they do.
But he told me a very important truth. And then the second time I did it, the first thing I saw was Anubis.
Yeah, but they never give you anything for free. They always have to take, like, and sometimes it's your health.
Yeah, but that first thing, that was fucking true. And that's how they get. That's how the demons get you. They get you. That's how they got John D. They told him something true the first time, and then they keep whoop whoop whoop.
It's the hook.
Mm-hmm.
Hook, line, and sinker.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, I think, like the chart and stuff. That's most of the stuff I wanted to say there. And there's more I could say. I'm gonna really quickly look back here and see. Just because we all had a long friggin' crazy day, and it's going to be a theme for like probably till October. I feel just this chart that's happening today will like echo. But now I'm looking at the chart itself, looking for anything. I mean, it's the day of, and you know, people probably won't care after today. But basically, today we had 2 partial trines. That looks like a trine, right? Looks like 2 Pluto, Jupiter, and Uranus trine.
Oh wow! I just made this correlation real quick.
Yeah.
I don't know if you can see this, but I've got.
I'm gonna move this thing.
Earlier, I pulled the Fool and the Wheel of Fortune, and on the Fool, it's a symbol of Uranus, and on the Wheel of Fortune, it's a symbol of Jupiter. And right now, and then we just went through the Jupiter and Uranus conjunction in Taurus.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And then I've got the Ace of Pentacles on the top of the deck for the Earth.
Yeah,
Taurus.
we got everything in abundant Earth right now in the spring. Like, it's definitely it's the most abundant time that's going to happen for 3 or 4 years right now. Like, as far as the Astro is concerned, like it's not this Pluto Aquarius transit thing coming back to Aquarius. It's not going to be back like it is right now. It's not going to be back like this until 2020 or 2026. Like, unfortunately, I thought it was coming back. So it'll be in Aquarius. It'll be in Capricorn. It'll just not be progressed and like moving forward to this degree that we got to. It will not be doing that until like 2026. So remember now, enjoy it. The square. I'm sorry. There's 2 sextiles also to Mars and Neptune. So, and Mars just entered Aries. Neptune is at the second to last. It'll soon be at the 29th degree, like I said, and it'll start sextiling Jupiter.
We just need to make the most of what we already have. And for me, it's finding in my solar, it's finding my own identity and the resources from within. And then also in my natal, it correlates to all my relationships in my life. So I'm just kind of riding with the wave right now.
Now, Jamie, I've been obsessed with talking about the inconjuncts. That's like, was that 120 degrees or something like that?
And that's the same as the quincunx.
Yeah, the quincunx. So it's a strain. Yeah, Kim, I think you'll like this. In the charts, this is like secret. I'm always finding secret stuff. These green dots. You see like the green dots?
Yeah, I see them.
So those connecting dots, they always I always find it like a secret code or something. It's just like a hidden subconscious thing. But anyway, there's an inconjunct between Jupiter and what looks like Mercury. But I mean, look at all these dots. I can't even connect them. There's so many. So there's all this hidden strain between the moon and Neptune, Cancer and Pisces. and yeah, the Mars also looks like an inconjunct. It looks over to I mean, like all of these, Chiron is having these. There's so many quincunxes here. I can't even like properly connect them and read them. Usually there's like one or two, but everything.
Oh, so that's not normal. You said that usually there's like one or two.
Yeah, there's usually, yeah, and the more I think the quincunxes are like the hardest things. It's like the stuff you can't see, and it's always the strain and the stress but yeah, basically what it looks like is between Jupiter, Uranus, the Sun, possibly Eris, Chiron, the previous solar eclipse, Mercury, the South Node, the Mars, Neptune, Saturn, and the Moon. I'm not accurately reading them because there's so many little hidden secret like quincunxes there between all of them.
It's like the mystery house.
Yeah, I'm not being a good astrologer right now. I'm being a lazy astrologer. But, it's just all that green, that close. I can, and all that's energy all bunched up in one part of the chart between the 7th house and Moon, Pluto, it's the sixth. It's the 6th house to the 10th house. So and look how there's nothing on the other side of the chart. Like there's just nothing over.
No, that's just weird.
So it's your health to your career, like health, justice, transformation, expansion, higher learning, and career. Like all of it's getting totally uprooted. But yeah. Anyway, this is a long podcast so far.
I find it interesting that both the moon and Neptune are in 28 degrees, and the moon's in Aquarius and the Neptune's in Pisces. And we've got an Aquarius sun on and a Pisces sun on.
Yeah. And what we were talking about that too, because I feel like Drew has a lot of like Ophiuchus.
Has a lot of what?
Ophiuchus or Ophiuchus?
Ophiuchus, yeah.
Yeah.
Ophiuchus is that's
Ophiuchus.
how Al Rustling Around says it. And
so you want to hear something interesting?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sethicus correlates Ophiuchus with Chiron.
Oh well, according to Russell,
that's cool.
Asclepius is the Greek myth of the man who became a god who was trained by Chiron. He was the son of Apollo. Okay. And he had a staff that was different.
That's right.
It's the staff. I think the name is Staff of Asclepius, but Hermes has 2 wings and two snakes. Asclepius has a rod and like sort of a little like disc saucer like this, and then the snake sits on top of it, and it's a single snake.
Yeah, the one.
But he was a mortal man and just the son of Apollo, so he was like a demigod. And just because he hung out with Chiron, who was a god that didn't have an ego and just was wounded and learned to heal himself, he became basically a human half hybrid deity trained by Chiron. And he became so powerful that Hades asked his brother Zeus to kill him because he was basically stealing the dead. He was curing so many people. He was robbing Hades of the dead that basically he went up to Jupiter. Hades went to Jupiter and found this out through Leo King. But Hades is a god of hell, and he's equal to Jupiter. He rules a totally different realm. So they're brothers and they're equals, and that's like according to Kronos, the father. So Kronos is the god of the gods and the Titans. Jupiter is the god of the humans and the gods, and Hades is the god of the underworld. And yeah, basically this little demigod, Asclepius, had Hades and fucking Jupiter terrified because he was basically, because he was human and humble, he was just kind of making powers. And he befriended the strongest, smartest gods like Apollo and Chiron, and he started like inventing powers and making his own shit. But basically the fact that he was becoming medically more advanced than like all of the gods and just still growing and outwitting the gods, they killed him and made him a god and put him in the sky, and basically that is Ophiuchus. That's
so cool.
That's his story, supposedly.
And another thing that Leo said about Chiron, why Chiron is so important, is that Chiron is the story of humanity.
Yeah.
See,
Dang.
it's funny you said you thought I have a lot of that like energy when I was first hearing about Chiron. And all throughout my journey awakening, or whatever you want to call it, that transit in 2008, it was just all Nessus, Chiron, Quoar. It was all the centaurs. It was just all the centaur stories, like literally happening in my life. Like if you read the story of the centaurs, people were doing that shit to me.
Oh.
like Chiron's story, that shit happened to me, kind of. And I mean, the wounded healer stuff, like, I got vaccinated as a kid, probably gave me dyslexia. I got Lyme disease, a man-made friggin' Bill Gates family concocted bioweapon. And then, oh yeah, this friggin' week leading up to all this, when Saturn and Mars were conjunct, I had a 4-ton lighting from Paw Patrol, the traveling play, the professional lighting gear stage box that was like 4 tons ran into my Achilles, and my Achilles and leg exploded in blood, and I had to be shipped off to the ambulance, and I thought I wasn't going to walk ever again. but because I'm insanely lucky, I drove home from the hospital because it just created like some weird compound bruise like throughout my whole foot, and I just got a puncture wound in my Achilles. But like, so that was a miracle. But in the ambulance, they jabbed me with an mRNA tetanus shot, and apparently I got another one in the year previous when I got copper poisoning at my job. But anyway,
So you're saying that the tetanus shots are no longer safe?
Yes, I got boosted twice, is what I'm saying. I have heavy metal poisoning and Lyme disease. I have the worst brain fog in the world, and in the middle of it, I got metal poisoning, and I got 2 jabs with boosters in it. I don't have spike proteins in me. I don't have any of that, but I have the myocarditis, and I have the fucking nanotech, and I had an allergic reaction to antibiotics I was taking. It felt like fucking graphene, like running around my body and like going up my neck, and fucking like it felt like arms and shit like crawling on my face, and I lost entire control of my body, and everything went pins and needles. So yeah, like I got black mold, Lyme disease, fucking, and now mRNA tech like running around in my fucking body with microchips and shit. And my heart fucking pressure went up. that might be from the fucking brownies mixed with fucking myocarditis. I have no fucking idea. So anyway, long story. long story short, you know, I was already kind of like a GMO creature from having Lyme disease, but I was very upset. I kind of had a little psycho breakdown. I told Kim about it briefly, but I just, you know me, I was the one friggin' telling everybody about this stuff. and and the Piscean side of me that I think is there, every time they went up to me with that jab, I was like, my instincts were like, what do you put in my arm? But I was just so out of it, work, and it was work accident stuff, like, and there's your job sending you there and shit, you know. You don't want to be like, don't put the fucking tetanus shot on my arm. And I just didn't. I just shut my instincts down and didn't go, hey, what's in that shit? What, you know, are you putting fucking mad cow disease experimental fucking like nanotech in my body that, you know, in a shot that is already involved with heavy metals and stuff? Like, anyway, Chiron. Yep, I'm still alive though. some sort of Ophiuchus person, and you know, I don't like medical situations or anything, but it just, yes, they've been after me, they've been on my story, and they've been jabbing me with shit my whole life. And so I got some weird wounded healer fucking shit for sure.
The story definitely fits, which is weird. You know, like, that's weird to think about it.
I like that. Yeah, it's funny when people started talking about Ophiuchus. I was like, who's this fucking guy? And my favorite astrologers are like, what's this Ophiuchus shit? They'll say it's a good thing, but they'll be like, it's not a zodiac sign. Like, they'll say like, that's bullshit. But like Russell's really into it.
Well, that's why it made more sense to me when Sethicus said that.
Yeah.
Correlated it to Chiron.
Yeah, dude.
Rather than an interrupting sign, it's its own.
Yeah, well, I mean, Chiron is the master of Ophiuchus. He's his fucking teacher. He's his mentor, at least. That's, you know, and he's the most, Chiron's the most humble god.
I believe Ophiuchus is correlated with the scarab beetle.
Yeah, Cancer
say, like,
is too.
If you want to be a good healer, you have to go through most of the shit yourself before you can even begin to have an understanding of it.
Yeah.
Or you can't understand any of it until you do. I mean, you're going to go through all kinds of, like, catharsis, and, like, you're going to have moments where you feel like you're completely fucking psychotic, but you're going to have to get through those breakthroughs.
I've always thought Chiron and Ophiuchus, like Russell kept saying, like, oh, it's Scorpio, or it's like this sign or that. And I kept saying, like, to him, I kept it in the comments, like, it's Cancer, dude. It's fucking Cancer.
For what?
For like this kind, like, what if you had to assign a different sign to?
That is what my Chiron is in. Is 2 degrees Cancer.
Yeah. Well, and the only reason I said that is like because I was like, I'm a Cancer, and I know how fucking wounded they are all the time. But in Gaelic, which, like, people like to Sarian tie that to pre-Egypt Gaelic, the unicorn is Cancer, and it's like commerce accent. The Nazis used to fucking like worship the fucking Cancer Capricorn axis for some reason, because I think it's like the finance. Surprisingly, it's like the finance axis or something. But
that was so crazy. I just seen like a strobing light. That was crazy.
I saw you look over, and I sensed something, but I didn't know what.
I don't like, literally
it
was. It was like a strobe of light was, I don't know if it was in my house or outside the windows, but it was like I seen it from like both. That was weird.
Both planes.
I saw something. I don't know. It was just weird, and then I noticed that you looked, and I was like,
I don't.
What did she see?
My hair on my legs are standing up. I don't know what that was. That's weird, though.
As soon as
It
you were
was like
talking about,
like a choppy, like it was like light fragments of like strobe light, like say like lines coming down like this, like really fast like that. Like I was like, the fuck did
Jamie
I
just
just
received the
see?
download.
I was like, what did I just see? That was really weird. I've never
That is
experienced that before.
weird.
Do you guys want to pull any more cards or anything like that? Were you inspired? Do you have them near you? I can
I
pull.
just want to say that strobe happened like right when you were talking about that axis.
Oh, the finance access of.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well.
that's weird.
Yeah.
Sorry, I wanted to connect that for a second.
No.
It's weird.
I'm shuffling a rune. I'm shuffling a rune card.
Oh, I didn't grab my cards. Let me go grab my cards.
Let's do it. Let's do it. We just talked about a lot of different stuff. I didn't think it was all going to come together like that.
Yeah.
Oh, also, Drew, you know how I'm like I'm getting into the anesthesia.
Yeah. I don't even know what that is.
So the anesthesia of Aquarius is actually Scorpio. So if we were doing anesthesia Pluto right now, it would be Pluto and Scorpio. Yeah.
I still need to look at, like, is there
So
a
that
simple
even though
say that?
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just saying, is there a simple way to explain what that represents?
You're gonna look at the if you're looking at the antesia of that planet, which is the antesia sign of whatever that sign is. You're gonna want to look at that energy also of whatever that planet sign is antesia to.
Okay.
Kind of like the opposing. You know how you're gonna look the axes. You're gonna want to look at the opposite
Yeah.
axis.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think
I'm still studying it too myself, but I find it
was that a hypergate like thing?
I learned that from Hypergate.
Yeah. Okay.
He says that you can't be a real astrologer without knowing Antasia.
Nice.
He says that so many different things, but he's right. Like, yeah, he is right.
Yeah.
Like the Pluto, like just that solar shit, and the Pluto masterclass like blew my fucking mind.
Well, he said that there's only I think it's Virgo. I think he said Virgo, Pisces, and another part of fortune. He said there's 3 different parts of fortunes. Like if you don't have these 3 signs and part of fortune, then like you'll never be like you're not meant to be an astrologer. Only certain people have certain. I don't remember where I heard that. I wish I would have wrote that down. But I know Pisces was one of them. Admir has Pisces part of fortune in his chart. I don't have the part of fortunes that he's talking about. I've got Capricorn.
I think mine is Sagittarius, from what I remember.
I'm
pretty sure. I gotta look it up again.
Where is that? Yeah, part of fortune today is 9 Gemini, 20.
I can't remember all the signs that he said.
Yeah, I mean,
You may still. It might come back.
like I know I mentioned that he's selling off the warehouse and everything. I don't know if he's 100% official on it yet. He's trying to get out of the warehouse soon. He's trying to
yeah, he is. It's official already. I just watched the daily or the deep astrology or whatever yesterday. His neighbor basically told him like, hey, whenever you're ready, I'm ready to. He's basically buying him out of the building so he can get out of it early.
Yeah.
And so he's
Oh, wow.
downsizing. He's
Yeah.
downsizing a lot, so he's not wasting.
Yeah, dude, thank God for that, and like Rich Lopp moving out there, and now like they're gonna be in Irvine. They're gonna just have one studio. All their money's gonna go towards like not throwing events and just having all this. It's funny, he loves the show Hoarders, but it's like, dude, you got like 30 fucking cars in the apocalypse. Like, what do you just sell that shit?
Did you hear that's what he's already done?
Yeah, well, all the cars.
He's down to 2 cars.
Oh my God, he did it. He finally did it. His
Yeah.
Taurus moon. He let it go.
Well, yeah. Well, he said he's realizing that that's what he's meant to do.
I mean, dude, like,
Wow.
I love that guy, and it's just like he preaches so much, and I'm the same way. It's just like he sees it in everybody else's
You
life.
guys, like I'm telling you, like there's like some fucking weird strobing light going on like outside.
Oh, go look and see what it is.
I just seen it again. Well, cause I lifted my blinds up, like my blinds are up.
I wouldn't trust that. It's probably just some weird fucking dude.
I don't know if it's my eyes like playing a trick on me or if it's the lamp. The lamp.
It's just the beeping Tom.
just some naked guy on a bike with like a strobing light.
I don't know. It's like comes and goes, so I don't know if it's my eyesight or what. But I've never experienced that before. It's weird.
That is weird. Oh my God.
Anyways, sorry.
No.
Don't be. That's weird.
That's what we talk about here.
UFOs.
Weird fucking strobing lights coming through the window.
Right.
But
That's cool.
yeah.
I wish it was happening here because I would just totally embrace that. I'd be like, yes, they finally
I
come
just
to
don't
take
know what
me
it
away.
is.
Yeah, if it happened to Kim, she'd already be gone. She'd be like,
I'd already be outside.
but
Lord.
but yeah, well, yeah.
Oh my God, I know what it is.
Oh, you do know?
I love Jamie.
Is it?
It's lightning. I just heard thunder.
Oh.
I knew I was seeing something.
Yeah, it's
What
your.
the hell? I didn't know it was supposed to rain.
I like since the age of Aquarius and like all this fake weather and shit, like, or since the Pisces Pluto stuff, I've been seeing weird rolling lightning like coming like right outside my window and shit. Like, it's just
That
like,
is weird.
yeah, I've had more experiences with lightning since Pluto Aquarius than.
Well, I have been feeling things before it happens. Like literally, it was crazy. It was 4 a.m. It was like 4 a.m. or something. I like woke up like out of nowhere, and right like maybe 3 seconds after I woke up and had my eyes, it was like the loudest fucking thunder I've ever heard. Like it like shook my room. But I woke up
Oh, that's
before it happened.
terrifying.
Yeah.
That's terrifying.
It was crazy, but I wasn't scared because it was almost like I knew it was about to happen, even though I didn't. I don't know how to explain it. It was crazy.
Yeah, that is weird.
I've been like, I feel like I've been becoming more in sync with like nature, which is what we're meant to do anyway.
Yeah.
But walking outside every day for like an hour, like it's just, I don't know,
It's healing.
syncing up, and yeah, that
Yeah.
too.
I just remember like
And you're probably getting a lot of stuff too.
I just remember how rough it was like before October, and I know all three of us have like in our charts at least just touching base here and there. Like it's been rough as hell. All I know is the person I was like in October, like I'm a lot more confident because I just went through so many more fucking crazy, insane things that I'm just kind of like, oh, like I don't have to fucking eat today. I can fucking do anything at work. It's just I've just been through so much shit that I just, and then I'm feeling new senses too. Like I'm feeling new sensory. Like I'm taking antibiotics now finally for my Lyme, and I'm starting. It's weird because I'm getting attacked by metals, but I'm also like hearing like long-term systemic stuff. Like before I came down here, like Ophiuchus, you're saying, I have my own like salve that I made with like coconut oil and thyme and thieves and eucalyptus and tea tree oil and frankincense and like all this stuff. I figured out how to kill like whatever black moldy like inflammation, like weird fungal RSV GMO shit Bill Gates is making. Like it.
It makes sense. Like, to me, it makes sense. Like,
Yeah. So I'm like,
you would know how to just do that.
yeah. Well, it like through you get COVID and you like have Lyme disease and you're just like, oh, let me fucking take the ivermectin that fucking these people are talking about.
Did you do that?
Yeah.
Did it work?
Yeah. It stopped me
Yeah.
from fucking losing taste. And
there's a lot of people that said they like snuck it in somehow to the hospital. It was like really hard to do, but like people would walk out like 3 days later.
I started taking it for other things. I mean, the guy who made it is a Nobel Prize winner, and he like they had to take back everything they're saying. They're all getting sued because he's a Nobel Prize winner, and it's good for it like everything. It's an antiviral, antifungal, antiparasitic.
And a parasite.
It's
they
like
use it for horses and stuff too, right?
Well, like, the only reason I started taking is because like you get Lyme forever, you get inflammation, and then I'm gonna have idiopathic liver disease, ulcerative colitis. Like that's what the blanket thing was. You can't diagnose it because the Western blot, like they made it, it's a bioweapon, it's hidden everywhere. They only find out that you have Lyme when they cut you open and there's all these roots in your fucking brain and spirochetes. Like it's systemically like a horror fucking film. Like
it's really bad.
Woo, you're giving me the chills talking about it.
Yeah. I have a friend that's on TikTok. She's still struggling.
Well, I mean,
with it bad.
If
Lyme disease.
Saw me open, you're gonna look in my brain and like, no matter how smart of a person or how awesome my chart was, like you're gonna see all these fucking crazily gangly roots and shit and black fucking, it's like Stranger fucking Things in your fucking brain.
Oh.
Yeah, and that's what Stranger Things is. The fucking Stranger Things is fucking Montauk. Goddamn CDC there made fucking
Island.
Yeah. Yeah. They made black mold. They made black mold's a fucking GMO. They made the entire electrogrid that fucking makes these fucking graphene fucking things pulse, the 5G, all the stuff. It's like it all goes back.
I just connected that. It took me a minute, but it's
all fucking Edison. I mean, like I was just thinking about this today. Okay, it's like they made with Tesla, they made the Edison system of the EMF that gives off the cancer. And then what's next? Let's like destroy medicine and make a petrochemical, like big pharma. So I was just thinking about how did they take over like this? It's because they're in a cult and all of their byproducts that are their waste, like petrochemicals, they turned into the pharmaceutical company. They literally took their shit trash and turned it into medicine. So it's just like one evil company blackmailed within the other, where all of their trash is gold, and they're just trading golden trash between each other. Like it's impressive. It's like, damn, dude.
So that just reminded me of something. I was watching it's like the only full disclosure I ever watched on the Leo King series of that.
Yeah.
And he did it by himself that day because the girl that he does it with couldn't do it anyways. So they every time he basically like they talk about facts and stuff like on there. So all the like energy drinks, the Red Bulls and shit, apparently, you know how it's really filmy and foamy and stuff?
Yeah.
Dude, this is so fucking disgusting. It's actual foam that's like scraped off of waste from like the sewage.
Yeah.
Don't fucking drink that shit. None of it. The
Well,
Monsters, None of those energy
Well, I
drinks.
mean, you find
Yeah,
out.
Wait, and who said that? Who found that out?
Leo King.
Leo?
It's the foam that sits on the top of the waste at like the waste management places, like
Well,
of
yeah.
Well, how are
our
they able to do
sewage.
that though? Like, how are they legally
How are
able to
they
do
able to
that?
do anything?
Right, right.
Well,
I don't
It's
even know why I just asked that
insanity.
question.
no.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't even know if that's completely true, but I wouldn't put anything past anyone at this
Well,
point.
it's like it's
Right.
like
I believe it.
kind of how I subtly said they found out a way to market their trash, but that's also like a Masonic, like Luciferian inversion satanic thing where they're like,
Wow.
I'm going to sell you trash or feces or bile or something that's vile. It's like very just dark inversion stuff. It's all dark inversion. Like,
Right.
so like, yeah, on one level, you know, alchemically, there's like a concept of putting like a little bit of poison in like a cure. Like, I think that's like
Like a
how,
vaccine.
yeah.
Just like removes like.
Well, an adjuvant, but this is like an old concept with alchemy that I think that's where it comes from. It's just you make a little bit of poison in it. I think that's a very Chiron thing. But
Yeah.
anyway,
Well, it's snake venom too. That's how they reverse it.
yeah.
They give you a little bit of it.
Well, I mean, wasn't there snake venom in the fucking vaccine too? Like
I've heard about that.
I heard that snake venom was basically what COVID was. That it was like
yeah,
there's possibilities that it was unleashed in our water systems.
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
well, that's a very like anti-Chiron
that,
thingy.
well, yeah. That's the big thing that they're talking about now is how like it came out everywhere at the same time. And like if you look back at the videos when it was first breaking, it was breaking in Iran and China, and people were falling over on the ground like dead.
Yeah, what was up with that?
That was just the false flag. Like that was just
Yeah,
the
because that didn't happen.
because no one remembers that now. Like no
I
one,
remember it
yeah,
because
we
I remember when the hubby's brother came over, like talking about it, and I was like terrified to get it then.
Yeah. Well, no one ever talks about how China killed all their cats and dogs in like a couple days. They can't, and then the rivers turned red from dead cats. Like, no one talks about that anymore. I was making a whole video about.
When did they do that?
They did that in like the first like 2 months. They just killed all the cats. Like,
Why?
Wait, why?
well, they hate cats and dogs, but and you know they're like really into crazy black magic, but they just used it as an excuse because they didn't know what it was. They just were like, let's just kill all the fucking cats and dogs. It's like, you know, it's like killing all the mice or whatever. But they just have a personal, you know. And then they also blamed.
That doesn't make sense though.
They
So
of it on the meat market, and that's where they eat cats and dogs. But somebody ate a fucking bat, like, and then it's a psychological inoculation. Like, why are you saying a bat did this?
yeah.
Like, so there's
Well, they always have to show. You know how they always have to show. I think I probably like said something to you too, but it just reminded me now that you said the bat. That year, the quarter was a fucking bat, and that they made that before they ever came out with the whole bat thing.
Predictive programming.
What'd you say was a bat?
The quarter on the back of the quarter of that year, it was a bat.
Are you serious? I didn't know that.
I didn't either until she just said it.
I believe it's 2020.
I know that Nostradamus, when he talks about animals that disappear from the earth, he talks about the bat. In the Bible, I think they talk about the bat too. Like, but it's also a flying mammal, and it just makes people think of disease, like anciently, just because it's a mammal.
I think of rats.
Yeah.
Sure, as disease.
But I mean, that's like psychologically what they're doing. Like, it's like a flying fucking rat. So that, yeah.
Yeah.
Isn't that what the Black Plague was? Was like the fleas that came off of the rats, off of like the ships and stuff?
That's the official story. It like first appeared along the Silk Road. Like Asians were catapulting like dead bodies that had fleas on them into fortresses, and they knew that like a new plague was happening, so they purposely, like it was in that era where it's sort of like Tartarian era.
Leo was decoding that, and it's actually like around like the I think it was the astrology is correlating with like the transits we're going through.
So with my right hand, the masculine hand, I pulled a rune. Looks like that. Unfortunately, I can't stop getting it to be blurry, but I pulled the Owl Senses 68. Ool. I love the colors.
It's pretty.
The paintings are amazing. So yeah, if you want this deck rustling around, I'm sorry, it's a little Fruma deck at Fruma.com, and they got a new sister deck that just came out, the Alchemy of Astrology deck, which I downloaded a free PDF you can get there, but they're printing.
That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I need to get that one. I got like the whole channel I wanted to base around these decks because it's 78 arc. It like molds to Saurion together with like Sethicus and Russell all like doing rune readings, and it's like the 78 archetypes with tarot mixed in with it. And he's just a fucking Anglo-Saxon that knows, like, he's an Englishman, and I didn't think I liked the ruins or that I was even English.
My descendants on my dad's side of the family, well, we're descendants of the Anglo-Saxons.
He just knows he knows about as much as Cesarion does about mythology, and he just picks his favorite ruins from Iceland, like all the way to the Anglo-Saxon. He just picks the best ones, the best 78 of all the fucking ruins that exist, and he just fucking put it in this deck, like according to his opinion, basically. And he's a fucking like Virgo, Libra, Stellium, Scorpio, so he's just a brain and a fucking half. And he's an Aquarius. He's an Aquarius moon too. But yeah, that's why we get along. I think that's why we're so fucking weird. I think that's why I was drawn to him in the first place. Is a fucking Aquamoon. So that I'm going to speak in voice. Do you mind read this real quick? So unless you have something to say about it. Okay, I'll read it. I'll hold that thought. Omen. I'm going to speak in my deep poetic voice. My active voice. Omen of astral shadow boxing, shape-shifting night ruler, owl heralds prophecy from the whole. Sorry. Owl herald prophecy from beyond his place. So wake up, pause, be totally still, move not a muscle, and tune into the rustling of the night. 68. Adjust your perception and see, hear, smell, taste, reach, and feel with your own inner owl wisdom. What's there beyond the hoot or behind the hoot? Oole, ooh, ooh. Owl senses. So yeah, that's the that's the masculine. That's the right now. But I continue what you're saying. I'm gonna pull a left hand feminine card.
Who, me?
Or yeah, you were saying something.
Oh, I don't even remember, but everything that you just read is exactly like what I've been experiencing.
Well, but me and Kim have been talking about like what are dolphins, what are butterflies, like what do they represent? I've always had like we started this channel talking about butterfly symbolism. I mean, our symbol has butterflies on it, but
I wrote down something about that.
yeah.
Hold on.
I have a butterfly
You said
tattoo.
night. You said the night.
Yeah.
And I wrote down mirror. This like definition that popped up on my phone for the mirror. It had to do with like a tarot deck, and it says endlessness is supported by the dragon, which is birth or challenged, or strengthened by the star, which is elegance or art, and receives hidden power from the night, which you just said about the night, and then intuition. So that's why I was like, oh, something from the night.
So, yeah, I originally saw. I have a lot of Gemini, and I didn't know I had Aquarius till later. But I always saw butterfly symbolism as like Geminis, but owls also. I saw them as owls until I figured out like what the fuck an Aquarius was, and I think definitely the owl is like a Saturn Aquarius, like sort of vibe for sure.
Yeah, it's like Saturn.
It's the fun Saturn.
Like the butterfly, like it looks like two hearts.
Yeah.
One above, one below. And so I put butterfly as above, so below. As soon as it flaps its wings touch. It conjoins both worlds in an instant. So it brings both worlds together in the same timeline, which is the butterfly effect.
Ooh.
That's what I wrote down.
That reminded me of the Luminaries for some reason.
And also, you have to remember that Aquarius, it's ruled by dual planets. So first we're going to experience the Saturn part of it, and then we're going to experience the Uranus part of it. It's like half and half.
Wow.
I've never really thought about that. I'm so clueless as to the Saturn Aquarius thing. Like all the only thing that comes through is like Elon Musk. Like
so it's like you have to you have to go through, like, you basically have to make it through, like, climb up the mountain of Saturn, like you have to become the goat, right? Like you have to rise up to the top to reach the higher realms of Uranus.
I feel like I feel like Aquarius is the humanitarian half of Saturn, and that you built a corporation like, so like let's do the fun, like cool, like philanthropic stuff. Now that you have all the power, it's sort of that half of Saturn that gets tired of being controlling and gets bored, and he just starts fucking doing fun and cool shit out of nowhere just because he's bored. You're like, what is fucking Saturn all this time?
Well, and the reason that I'm like getting that analogy is just I would have to say just by like my own chart, because I've got the Aquarius Sun and the Aquarius Mercury, and then I've got all that Capricorn.
Apparently, when I got my Astro DS booked, the first thing I didn't like before I knew about planetary rulerships myself, it says Moon, Saturn, Mercury, and that's like my planetary rulerships. Now that I know myself, like I deeply understand that I'm like mostly Mercury, and that like shifts my whole perspective, because it's like sixth, and it's Gemini Mercury and Virgo Mercury stuff. It's fucking
a lot.
The depositor planet stuff is making way more sense of the astrology stuff out of nowhere. Just intuitively, it feels
Well, it's because it's about the planets. It's not, it's about the
more like the tarot. It's like more like archetypes and personalities. And
I think it helps you view the archetypes better by going strictly to the planet dispositor.
Yeah.
You guys, we've been streaming for over 2 hours.
Okay, I'm going to say one more card because it's perfect, and we can wrap it up. Like, because I
gotta go to bed.
Yeah. Here's ladies. Thank you for joining me. This was amazing, and
it was fun.
I totally needed these powerful Pisces, Aquarius, ninth dimensional beings here, helping me translate this chart. But these runes I just pulled, that was very okay. We pulled the owl, Aquarius, Saturn for the masculine. Ooh, wild ox, untamable. We got fucking Taurus showing up here. Venus and Taurus, right? Okay. Ooh, wild ox, untamable. Fleshed from black and gold, giant glistening glossy aurochs roam verdant valleys, mountains and moors. Savage, wild, and majestic horned beasts snort unattainable, untamable, unconfined by man, the ranger of freedom, the grazer of thoughts, the resilient power to be its own keeper and keep roaming, kind of like we were just saying the other day about the Sioux Indians getting in their teepees and hunting the wild water buffalo and the buffalo. It's talking about a non-hemmed in free cow. It's talking about a free feminine. It's talking about not being cattle in the age of Aquarius.
Damn.
You're gonna have to send me pictures of these cards.
Yeah.
So I can look them over again.
Yeah, me too.
You mean
I don't remember.
the Lafruma or
The two that you just pulled.
Oh,
yeah. I like the words.
Yeah. Let's see if I can get a better shot for the end here. No. I'll change the camera real quick if I can do that. But if not, this podcast is soon over. Let's see. Let's try.
I hope we can hear ourselves. And
well, when I was listening, it could. So hopefully.
Yeah. So that's
it looks like a trident. Doesn't it look like a trident? But an owl, yeah.
I'll take high def shots.
It looks like Neptune.
It did look like Neptune.
Yeah, this looks like a big like N glyph.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's lots of green. Yeah, lots of green, lots of red and gray and black, silver. They're just so abstract. I love it. All right, ladies, thank you so much for joining me, everybody. And good night. Thank you for staying up this fucking late. It's 12:21, ladies.
Love you guys.
Oh.
You were just talking to the mirror. All right, cool. Have a good night, everybody. Thanks for joining. Yeah, thanks a lot, guys. I appreciate it. I'll see you soon. We'll visit each other's stuff. To be continued. All right. Thank you.